What is going on, you guys? We're back with another episode of Beyond the Wrestling Gear podcast. I'm here with JB Stevens, the strategist. He is the founder and promoter of Aware Wrestling and Remarkable Entertainment. Welcome, JB.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to, talk to you, David.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to speak with you as well. I've been following your social media for quite a while, and I'm very intrigued about what you do in this organization and what it stands for.
Yeah, so, Awesome Wrestling and Remarkable Entertainment. We go under the AWARE acronym, and pretty much every show is a fundraiser. The whole point of the promotion is that we do shows. We're based out of Newton, Georgia, and every show is a fundraiser for like something local in the Southwest Georgia region. So, mostly it's been into Newton and Albany, Georgia, in terms of the causes it's benefited. So we did like a show for the volunteer firefighters in Newton, the school in Newton, the Arc of Southwest Georgia, the Hope Wrestling Academy, which I know we just filmed an advert for. That'll be a fun one to air. And then we got one coming up for Cancer Ties as well, November the 9th, the battle. So yeah, it's a lot of fun doing it.
So how did you come about starting Aware?
So, I had been involved in wrestling since 2021, but I wanted to be a promoter since 2017 because, like, even as a kid, I didn't think I would get involved in wrestling. I had no plans whatsoever because I didn't want to be a wrestler. I knew I wasn't cut out for that. But around 2017, I was 15. I was figuring out what I was going to do in life, and I kind of was like, I could be a promoter. I'd be a booker. I could, start a wrestling promotion, but I knew I needed experience, like in a role in the industry. So I kind of like spent a few years going to shows, finally got into one, became a ring announcer, manager, interviewer, commentator. And then I started working with the Hope Wrestling Academy in Albany. And they helped me finish my manager training. And then I talked to the people there and they was like, well, yeah, sure. We'll help you out with the wrestling promotion. So about June of last year, 2023, everything was stable. Everything, looked good. I was like, it's time. And so I spent a couple months figuring out what it was going to be, like what kind of promotion it would be. And I didn't have any particular ideas until my brother, who worked with the volunteer firefighters in Newton, he was saying that they were trying to get a fundraiser going. And I thought, well, starting a wrestling promotion, I can do a wrestling show for him. So started organizing that. And about the same time I organized it, I thought, well, if the first show is going to be a fundraiser, why not make all of them a fundraiser? And then it was about that time that, the Aware name came up where it was like, if you got a W in a wrestling name, it's got to stand for wrestling, and the E has to mean entertainment. So what kind of wrestling is it? It's awesome. How good's the entertainment? It's remarkable. So awesome wrestling, remarkable entertainment. From there, we've done 4 shows now, going on number 5. So that's pretty much how it came about. A lot of work, a lot of cooperation with people, a lot of going out, getting sponsors with businesses, local businesses, networking with local, nonprofits. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to do a show.
So so during the time you were training with the Hope Academy, did you ever consider getting into the ring, or was that not really an idea for you? You just wanted to stick to managing and commentating and promoting?
No, to get in the ring was never an idea because I ain't cut out to be a wrestler, pretty much. Like there was a spot though at one point at a show in Panama City, Guardians Legacy promotion back in January of this year. Um, I was inadvertently called out for a battle royal at the last minute, so I go out there and thankfully it wasn't a timed entrance rumble. Otherwise, I would have been stuck with somebody in the ring. But it was like everyone in the ring at once starting out battle roll, and I figured, maybe I can hide in the corner and not get hit, roll out or something. But no, I turn around and get punched in the jaw by Ryan James and go flying out of the ring. There's like video of that. That was crazy, which kind of annoyed at first, but I'll admit in the days afterward, I showed everybody, all of my friends like, "Hey, look what I did. Look what I did last Saturday." And, but I mean, we got some revenge for it. The following month, me and Xander King managed against Ryan in a tag match. So, can't be sore about it now, I guess. Got the revenge. But no, I'm not cut out for being a wrestler. I've gone in there and I've taken bumps and I've, did rolls and run the ropes and trained with them a bit, but doing the more complex stuff, like that's not for me.
Yeah, you're like, I'd rather avoid that and do what I can do to the best of my ability, which obviously you've done fairly well, and I commend you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
You're doing good with the podcasting too, like we was talking about earlier.
yeah, I mean, it's all about really wanting something, really being persistent. And if you really want it to succeed, it starts with you.
Hmm.
You got to put in the work. All right.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's all about
so
that patience and persistence.
we were mentioning a little bit about Aware and where you wanted to take it in the future. Where do you see Aware going from here?
So yeah, I do have a business plan for it. Pretty much like I see like the first and second year, 2024 and 2025 is kind of the building up year, kind of, the on the job training, learning as a promoter, because this is of course the first time I've ever promoted or booked a wrestling show. So like the first year is just getting used to everything, getting the feel of it, getting all the wrestlers introduced to the crowd and building up the crowd size over time. And then, I'm not going to go too full into detail because I'm the type that, when I make plans, I kind of, keep it to myself until it's either already been done or already revealed. But, 2026, I see is kind of the start where I want to, try to branch out a little bit, do different shows around Southwest Georgia because I don't really see going out of Southwest Georgia. As a possibility, most certainly. There are some people who I want to, eventually help out over, in Florida. But like pretty much the main goal is just, do shows at different schools and places around Southwest Georgia, bring in, make it a little touring thing, have a little circuit going back and forth, having some, awesome wrestling and remarkable entertainment for the people. And then of course helping, using that to kind of help like the Hope Wrestling Academy grow because there'll be that advert later that goes more into detail about it. But to put it simply, every aware show, we've raised awareness as well about the Hope Wrestling Academy and bringing people to Hope and bringing in trainees and such. We have the posters out there and so that's another goal is to help, the hope is to help hope grow as well.
That is pretty awesome. And speaking about, growing and expanding, I feel like this is where the strategizing comes from. The strategist. Where did that nickname come from, or where did that originate from?
So it was something I thought of like 2 years ago when I started managing. It kind of is like a little bit of inspiration from like Bobby the Brain Heenan, except, not, it doesn't draw the Weasley aspects of the character. When first thought of it, I thought, it would be like a professor type kind of, very I wanted to be a heel manager mainly. So like be, just a smart, jerk in general and be, very condescending and very like cheating all the time, helping the bad guys win. And so like I talked about it with my trainer and we kind of thought of ideas like a custom laser and such. The way it worked out though is I've had more work as a ring announcer and an interviewer. So of the strategist ended up I still kept it as as a nickname because even commentators and ring announcers can have nicknames, and have people, something that identifies with them. And I don't know if any other people name the strategist in wrestling. I'm not gonna say that I'm the only one because there's a good chance, that there is one somewhere. But like It's which is funny, on my social medias, I have ASC underscore JB Stevens, which ASC was supposed to be like an abbreviation that could stand for anything. It's something I thought of when I was first like debuted as a ring announcer in 2021. But over time, like the idea for the character evolved. I just no longer felt the need for it. And then I ended up doing the strategist thing, which now is like a promoter and a ring announcer. All the times I'm just being myself out there, just turned up a little bit, which is something I talked about with my trainer where like, some of the best characters in wrestling are basically themselves. Like Hunter Young
Right.
and Josh Breezy, like you mentioned, they go out there and they're basically themselves, a little turned up for the crowd, but they're themselves.
Yeah, this is where character creation is so important, you know? It's good to have that freedom sometimes to be able to be yourself.
Yeah, it's good to, have a lot of creative freedom in wrestling because a lot of times, like you have some diamonds that come through real, and there's some places that there's not a lot of creative freedom. You have to follow the instructions by the book, and that's fine. But sometimes it's good to be open to ideas, to let people kind of be themselves. And not all ideas are going to work, and not all characters are going to work, but you can find the one that works best for you and modify it and evolve it over time.
I definitely agree, you know? It's like with us in everyday lives, every human evolves every day, you know, no
Yeah,
matter
yeah,
what we're doing. Things change every day, and that's it could be either for the good or the bad, but it depends on you.
yeah. It's all about what you make it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Um, a- and then as far as for talent, do you have anybody in mind like you'd like to bring in one day? Like anybody high profile, you know, in the wrestling business? We know somebody named Cody Rhodes who lives in Georgia. Is he somebody that you'd
Yeah,
like to see if he can come and, you know, make a surprise appearance, you know?
yeah, yeah. That would be kind of cool. There's a funny side story related to that. We had our most recent show in September. Josh Breezy made like a special Nightmare Factory inspired entrance because Cody Rhodes was like number one on the PWI and he wanted to pay homage to his mentor, his coach. And so it's up on YouTube on there on Josh Breezy versus Cody Jax. And it's like he does the whole entrance to Kingdom to Cody's theme, so it's cool. But yeah, there's so many people who, could come to mind and could bring in a lot of big names. But honestly, I want to kind of for the first couple of years, kind of keep it to, the indie names, the people around the southeast region, the Georgia, Florida, Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama. There's a lot of cool talent there. And
Right.
seeing the scene evolve, like, in 2018, when I started attending local shows, it's insane. There's a lot of people who started out around this area, like Effie, who are now, like he's, like, a big indie name in, like, GCW now. And then you have so many wrestlers who, like, they'll come up and they'll be so cool, but then, like, injuries or something plagues them in real life. Then like, you have people like the Miami Boys making a lot of waves in Florida who, their antics, the way they get the crowd involved is fun. You have people up here like Logan Stevens who, he knows he's kinda like the utility man in wrestling. He can do anything in the ring. He can, be the main event or the opener. He can, wrestle just about anybody who, you put in front of him. You have, like, young guys like Xander King who were, trained there, but yeah, like big names. There's a lot of indie promotions that'll bring in big names, and that's cool. That is something I want to do for maybe year 3 or 4. I would want to do that.
That'd be pretty cool. And I mean, you know, it'd be a way for them to also not put the promotion on the map, but to be able to contribute in the ways you do as far like we talked about earlier, the fundraising for the different shows, you know, the different organizations you support and the sponsors, you know, they can help you with that, you know, build upon that.
Yeah, Yeah, a lot of the, sponsors or organizations I see, when they see a big name on there, which is true. Like anytime I see a local independent show with a poster and they have like, a former WWE or AEW talent, a big name on there, and it's like, yeah, that's the big draw for not just in crowd size, but also attracting sponsors who, may not know about local indie wrestling, but the people may know about like we saw this dude on our TV one night.
Yeah, about that promotion themselves. It's like Joe Henry was in Coco recently for a I think it's ALW. Yeah, I think he was there for Joe Henry was there for ALW recently.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
And that was a pretty big deal. And so was Matt Riddle.
Hmm. Yeah, they had him on one of their shows. I seen that on the Facebook.
So to uh wrap up this episode, like I was just well, we kind of talked about this earlier, but I'll bring it back up to you. We were talking about the your Mount Rushmore, and you mentioned Terry Funk was your top wrestler of all time, right? Your greatest wrestler of all
Mm.
time.
Yeah, Terry Funk. In my opinion, like the greatest of all time in wrestling because he, one of the best wrestlers in the world through like the mid late 70s up to like the early 80s. NWA World Champion, kind of he was like had a lot of great feuds in the Southeast. And like he did a lot of great wrestling in Japan, tag team wrestling with his brother, Dory. And like then he goes, in the 90s and pioneers one of the early, sort of an innovator of hardcore deathmatch wrestling, which like, looking back at some of his like matches in the 70s and early 80s where he's, a lot of hardcore bloody brawls, southern style brawls, not too much of a surprise. He ended up going
Yeah.
into hardcore wrestling. And what's even more amazing about it though is he was like like in his late 40s, 50s at the time doing that. And then he kept wrestling like decades until like 2017, so and then, you said Mount Rushmore, so the others be, like Santo, helped make wrestling like a part of the culture in Mexico, a big part of the culture with like the wrestling mask and the statues. Like it's, even regular ordinary people will know who he is. Then, Rico Dozan, one of the, original greats of Japanese wrestling. Then, Stu Hart of like, in Canada with the Hart Wrestling Dungeon, the patriarch of the Hart Wrestling family. A lot of greats come from there. Then you got to keep in mind like how many there's like dozens, like I think maybe even at least 100 wrestlers who went through like the dungeon and ended up becoming professional wrestlers, and some of them, great professional wrestlers having a big influence on the industry. So, without him, without the Hart family in the dungeon, what's the state of wrestling without some of those people? Which, granted, some of them might have gotten involved anyway, but would their careers have been the same caliber? You know?
Yeah, I mean, everybody in that Mount Rushmore has contributed to the professional wrestling business in some way or another, and it's pretty cool to see it evolve because of them. They're each of them are kind of like a stepping stone to making the wrestling business better and uh, you know, be the way that it is now. So, JB, to leave this episode on a high note, what would you say to anybody out there that's looking to get into wrestling, whether commentating, whether being a promoter, or just being a wrestler?
So, for one thing, they gotta have, like, a lot of patience and persistence. That's something I'll say where it's like, you gotta have the patience to, wait for those opportunities to happen, but the minute those opportunities come up, like, you gotta have the persistence to not just take them, but make the most of it, keep on going with it. And, another thing, like, in wrestling, for one thing, don't do something if you don't enjoy it. Like, yeah, be persistent in opportunities, but if, the tide is changing and it's like, "No, well, maybe this one isn't for me," then, you know, go somewhere else or do something else. Find what makes you happy in wrestling if it's something you really wanna do. And then, always be open to ideas, because you can get ideas from a lot of different people, whether it's, in-ring veterans or someone who's newer than you, or, even if it's like the fans, sometimes the fans have some pretty cool ideas, whether it's like they want to see somebody on a local show or they want to see this match happen. Sometimes it's pretty good ideas. So that's, that patience and persistence, be open to ideas, do what you enjoy. Those just some of the things that can help, get involved and stay involved in wrestling.
Good advice. Good advice there. It's always good to be patient and persistent in everything you do, and I sure follow it every day to a T, that's for sure. As far as this episode, you guys can find it on YouTube and eventually Spotify and iTunes and every other major podcasting out there. Remember, guys, we don't just talk wrestling. We go beyond the wrestling gear. Until next time, thanks, JB. And one more thing, you guys. If you guys want to stay after the episode, please enjoy this infomercial on the Hope Wrestling Academy. Hey guys, so I'm back with JB Stevens here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Hope Foundation. So JB, feel free to let us know about that the foundation and what the mission is about.
So yeah, the Hope Wrestling Academy is a little training school in Albany, Georgia. The head trainer, as on the poster there, is Logan Stevens. He trains a lot of people to be, professional wrestlers. But he's also trained like referees, announcers, such as me, interviewers, commentators. It's a good little promotion, training school. It's attached to the Wrestle South promotion, which itself is a part of the Hope Wrestling Ministries, which is um, like a larger ministry-based promotion up around like North and Middle Georgia. They do a lot of like church shows and they do like shows in juvenile detention facilities. And like their whole mission is they want to, help people come to Christ, find their salvation. So, they do a lot of good in their local area and helping people find salvation. And a lot of the wrestlers are very people like Hunter Young. They bring him in. He's the wrestling saint. So he comes in there and he's himself. So he'll have a preacher in the ring. It's kind of like a church service and a wrestling show mixed in one, which is kind of
That's
cool.
very unique. Yeah, very unique. That is so cool. Is there any way like we can watch it like on YouTube, like just to see it unfold? Because I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. So I know on the social medias, there's like Hope Wrestling Ministries on the Facebook and Instagram. And then there's Wrestle South on Facebook. They have a Facebook page. The Hope Academy doesn't have an official Facebook or Instagram page, but it's kind of all through like the Wrestle South page. And then the trainer, Logan Stevens, he has the he has like the social medias on Instagram under Logan Stevens 413, I believe. And then, but you can search up Logan Stevens, it'll come up. And he's under Logan Stevens on Facebook. And then he also does like his number on the poster, which is 229-425-7168. And, as it says, they do like in-ring training, the fitness, wrestling etiquette, referee training, manager and crowd work. So it's pretty much everything all in one. Even training people to be wrestler, he trains them in like all aspects too, because he had me do some referee training too.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you get to do a little bit about everything, and also if you're faith based, also follow your faith. You get to do two in one.
And
Well, of course, if you guys want to check out the Hope Academy, you can definitely check out that information this will be a part of the episode because I want to add this on as kind of like an
Mhm.
infomercial, in between the
Yeah.
episode where we can just go switch on to this, and then he'll make, hit the announcement, and you guys can definitely check it out. And if you guys are interested in getting into the wrestling business, you can definitely contact JB. Thank you for sharing that information.